I'm going to tell you, if you grew up in my family, you'd have had a good time. Let me just tell you this while I'm feeling relaxed. My dad is buttoned up as he comes off. All the insulting that you hear me do, my dad insulted.
Way.
You want to know who I got it? I got it from him. Like, there's a combination of why I'm good at comebacks and insults. Because I wasn't allowed to curse. So like, if you're a regular person, someone says something you don't like, you just F you, go F yourself. Very uncreative. But like me, I wasn't allowed to curse, so I had to like make it specific to that person. So I'll tell you the thing that got me thinking like I think is I was at baseball when I was in first grade or second grade, and this kid was picking on me. His name was, I won't say his full name. His name was Kenny. And he was like the popular kid on the team. His dad was one of the coaches. So I told my dad when I got in the car, I'm like, that kid makes fun of me the whole practice. He went, that kid, look at the size of his feet. He looks like he has baby doll feet. They're like too small for his body. And I'd like never, it was like such an odd thing to notice. So then the next day at practice, he's like, Shuttlesworth, you're whatever. And I went, look at the size of your feet. They look like baby doll feet. They don't even look like they belong to your body. And the whole team starts like chuckling, and his face turns like, shut up. And I was like, this is the way to go forward in life. my dad will pick anybody apart.
Because he was like,
first of all, my dad believes everyone has a toupee on. Everyone. It's not his real hair. It's not his real hair. Right? And then he just finds obscure things. There could be like here's my dad, right? I'm sure he'd hate me saying this, but we'd be like in church. A guy would have like 4 blind people healed. Everybody, that guy's amazing. And they'd be like, find something, like, someone should tell him to use more pocket scarf. Because there'd be like a big ball of like silk pocket scarf. He's like one of those evangelists.
Oh,
so that was it. Everyone was like, wow, what a powerful nugget. Someone should tell him not to try to use less than 5 yards of pocket scarf. I remember one time a guy was dressed like that. He went, where does he get his pocket scarf from? By the yard at Joann Fabrics?
I'm actually a little shocked that it was him, because I always thought.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing it to be funny. He just
Juby
noticed.
was like the one that was like more, I don't know, her personality just seems more relaxed and chill. So I was like, he got. The insult humor came from your saying. That is awesome.
That is funny.
And I'll tell you.
I feel like I don't know him.
Because people say you're so different than your dad. But basically, I was telling my dad this on the phone a couple months ago. I said, the only difference between me and you is I'll just say like, that guy's an idiot when I'm preaching. And then my dad will go like, now not to be arrogant, and we want to be careful with our words, and it's never right to run people down as a believer. But that guy's an idiot. So I just skipped the whole preamble of like hedging your bets.
That is so funny.
You know, like if someone has a difference of opinion of my dad on Bible prophecy, my dad will go like, now I'm not saying I have all the answers, and I'm not saying my way is the only way, and we have to make room for other people's opinions. But how someone can be that asinine and stupid to hold that viewpoint. So it's like, having said that, it's like that thing Larry David said, where anytime somebody says, having said that, it cancels out all the things that were said before it. Like, hey, I've really enjoyed our friendship and our time together. Having said that, I don't want to see you for several years. Okay, so Jason said, my insult humor came from being a fat redhead growing up. Well, my dad, which for some reason, I guess being a redhead was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah.
So my dad was a redheaded preacher's kid, and they switched schools like 6 times. My grandfather kept moving, so he can fight, and Ted can fight. I'll tell you a story before we go off air about who wants to hear a story about my Uncle Ted?
I do.
My Uncle Ted has mellowed drastically over the years. He's still very strong, but if you'd have seen him when he was like my age, so I'm just picking which stories to tell. So my Uncle Terry said they were in Norfolk, Virginia, which is mostly black. They were playing basketball at a city park basketball. My Uncle Terry said him and my Uncle Ted and my dad were the only 3 white guys on the court. Tons of people waiting to play. You know, this is the 70s, no video games, everybody's outside playing. So my Uncle Ted is dribbling, and the guy guarding him keeps hand checking him. And my Uncle Ted picks the ball up and goes, "That's a foul." And the guy's like, "Man, that's not a foul." And he went, "Yes, it is. Don't do it again." So they keep playing, and the guy hand checks him. And my Uncle Ted picks up the ball and goes, "That's a foul. I'm not going to tell you again." And the guy's like, "Whatever." And then everyone's like, "Let's just play." So my Uncle Ted's dribbling, and the guy hand checks him again. My Uncle Ted put the ball down. My Uncle Terry said, "Grab the kid by his balls and his shirt," picked him up over his head, and power slammed him onto the ground. He said so my Uncle Terry's like, "I'm ready to run," because it's like we're the only white people, and Ted just did that. But he said he did it with such ferocity and was like this, like he's going, that everyone was just like backing up. And he was like looking around like frothing at the mouth.
Let's go. Fight or flight kicks in. It's like it's over.
I'll tell you one more. This happened like 15 years ago, so I think the statute of limitations is over. I'll tell you guys two more, and then I'll let you go to bed. My Uncle Ted was walking. He had Chelsea with him, my Uncle Terry's daughter, when she was a little girl for some reason. She was with him. They were at Walmart, and this guy like sped in. This is in West Virginia. Sped in with his pickup truck and just like narrowly missed her. And then I can't remember whether he gave the finger or not. I don't know whether giving the middle finger is like was a bigger deal back then. But my Uncle Terry's the same way. If you gave the middle finger, it was like waving a red flag at a bull. Like you've like seriously crossed. It like they take it the same way as like if you like slapped your wife.
Yes.
So the guy did whatever, and my Uncle Ted is just saying it. The guy wouldn't come out of his truck because of how Ted looked. He's like, "Get out of your truck right now because I'm gonna kill you. Come out of the truck now. I'm going to kill you right here." Just kept telling me he's gonna, and the guy's just like staying in his pickup.
So Terry or Ted?
Ted. I'll tell you a couple. Let me tell you a couple more.
What?
So the Shuttlesworths are all like very aggressive men. So back when Rodney was real big, and Terry, my Uncle Terry was entering tough men competitions in West Virginia and getting introduced as Pastor Terry Shuttlesworth, like to fight in like underground fight clubs. So he's messing around with Dr. Rodney after a Sunday morning service. In the room, there's a bunch of preachers back there, and they start like like how guys do, where it starts off joking around, but then then it's like getting like kind of tense. And then it starts thinking like, "You couldn't take me. Are you kidding me, Rodney? I could take you, no problem." And Rodney's like, "All right, let's go." So in their full suits in the office, they lock up wrestling. And then it turns out it goes from play wrestling to full out like going at it. And so they roll each other into the sheetrock and bust through the sheetrock of the wall while like a gaggle of horrified ministers are like looking on. Just like full out, Terry tore his suit like from top to bottom. They had like busted sheetrock on them, and then go to lunch. So they come out of the office like, "What the hell?"
What?
Yeah, that's a true story.
Wow.
When I was 7, we had Thanksgiving down in West Virginia, the last one we ever had as a family, down in Item, West Virginia. This is what makes me laugh when people are always like, "Hey, we should have your dad and his 3 brothers in for like a big meeting. It would be great." I'd be like, "Yeah, if you want to see a huge fight on your platform, it'd be great." So my dad and my Uncle Terry are on a team. And my Uncle Ted and Uncle Tim are on a team, and they're playing 2-on-2 basketball in the neighborhood. And on Thanksgiving Day, so Ted gets mad about something my dad's doing that he thinks is illegal, and then my dad stole the ball off of Ted, and when he was running to do a layup, Ted ran up behind him and kicked my dad in the balls from behind. So, I mean hard. So my dad's just laying on the court, like out of commission. So Terry, because he's his teammate, and him and Ted haven't always gotten along the best, runs up and drills Ted in the face. So then Tim's trying to like break him up, but he can't. And they're full out going at it. So then they come up for Thanksgiving dinner bleeding and like won't talk to each other. And then my grandfather, who was like a general, was like, "Real great, guys. Real great testimony in the neighborhood to have four Assemblies of God preachers fighting each other. You have a bit of a dysfunctional family when you're in a West Virginia housing project and the neighbors are looking on like."
Wait, and they were like grown men at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like 7. So then we're all sitting at the table together, and like no one will talk to each other, and they're bleeding, and their wives are like treating their cuts. So like, hey, why don't we have like separate Thanksgivings now?
I love it.
I do too. That makes me love them way more. No. That is.
During COVID, I went to go see my Uncle Ted preach in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, and this guy, he was like super unclean. He was like waiting around after the service, and he came up and he's like, I have a word to give you. And he gave me a word, and it was like off and weird, but I just wasn't in the mood. I was like, yeah, that's great. So then he comes up to my Uncle Ted, and Ted's sitting down because he's done preaching. Mind you, my Uncle Ted's in his early 60s at this point. This guy's probably 35. And this guy's like, Brother Ted, he is like unclean. He's like, Brother Ted, I have a word for you. The Lord is expanding your territory where your authority and your anointings going to begin to work even more in even more regions than it already does. He went, Bible says, wherever the sole of my foot shall tread, I'll give you the land. Don't put that on me. And then went like he was going to lay hands on him. So like, I guess that would be like his like defense if it went to court. Like he was like, because he did it like he was laying hands, but he put his hand on the guy's forehead, stood up, and shoved him to the ground. And the guy just like got up, dusted himself. I was like wandered off. Don't put that on me. I was like, this is great. Oh, Eiffel Tower story. Okay. You guys want to hear another story? We went to France, and we were waiting in line to go on the Eiffel Tower. Me and Adonis and my Uncle Terry, that whole side of the family. This really happened. So there's this Parisian police officer. And he's yelling at everybody. You don't lean on the rope, like that kind of thing. You weren't allowed to lean on the rope. It was a long line to get on the Eiffel Tower. You can't lean on the rope, yelling at people's kids, don't touch the chain. And he's yelling do not touch the rope, like that. So after he yells at like the fourth person, my Uncle Terry, who's wearing a white t-shirt with a big American flag on it. Like, and it was back when there was like tension between France and us, and they were saying freedom fries and all that stuff. My Uncle Terry walks up to him and goes, sounds like somebody needs their volume turned down. Grabs him by both nipples and goes, whoop. Right? She was there. And it so shocked the cop that he goes like, and then just starts laughing. Like it struck him funny, and the guy was like a real jerk. Sounds like somebody needs their volume turned down. Whoop. But then it like grabbed his nipples and went like that.
Wow.
To a police officer.
What a guy.
I don't know that my uncle would like me telling this story, but maybe not. It's been a while. He was preaching in Paris, and he was having a cappuccino out on the street on a nice Parisian cafe, and a homeless guy that's like panhandling is asking everybody for money. So when he comes to my Uncle Terry just went like this, and my Uncle Terry had a Rolex on. So the guy grabbed his wrist, and went like basically, he wasn't gonna steal the watch, but it was like what do you mean you don't have any money kind of thing. So he grabs his watch, like, what is this? And my Uncle Terry said, I like blacked out kind of. And then he said the next thing I knew, I had the guy's arm behind his back and had the back of his hair, and was just slamming his face off of a lamppost over and over again. So he said, like, when I came to, there were two cops coming across the street, and I thought I was in trouble, but they got him and got away. So he's like, I go back to my table, and the table was flipped over and the coffee was spilled, so he didn't mean to, but I guess he did. So he goes to ask the waiter, can I have another coffee? And the guy comes back with that and a biscuit. He's like, on the house. And like, he doesn't have to pay anything. They're like, it's on us. Wow. So he goes back to his hotel after he finishes the drink 2 blocks down. This in Paris, a very large city. Like, heard you had quite an afternoon.
Wow.
Like word spread. He said it was like the party.
Tell the one
rich.
when Preston was a baby or whatever, and the guy was like, no babies in here, no babies in here.
They went to a Michelin star restaurant, my Aunt Colleen and my Uncle Terry, and they had Preston with them. He was a baby. So my uncle went to pay the taxi, and Preston went, or my Aunt Colleen went in with Preston. So the maitre d' in his tuxedo puts his hands on my Aunt Colleen. It's like, no baby, and goes to push her back out the door. And that's like, as my Uncle Terry's walking in, he sees this guy like pushing my aunt out the door. And he did what he learned from his older brother, grabbed him by the balls and the bow tie. This is in a Michelin star restaurant in Paris. Picked him up over his head and body slammed him through the decorative table in the lobby. He said the guy's just like, and then I was like, then what'd you do? And I got out of there. It'd be funny if you found out like the next year they lost their Michelin star. The ambiance isn't what it used to be. They're starting to let in a different kind of clientele. There's some street fights in the lobby. Here's the ways you can give. Revivaltoday.com. That's why when I hear people say like, the ministry can be very challenging and depressing, it's like, I don't think you're doing it right. Body slam a couple people. You don't need a sabbatical, you need to body slam somebody. Revivaltoday.com. Click give now. On Facebook, hashtag donate. Text RT to 50155. I'm going to send both shirts for helping me out today. Thank you. Thanks for standing with us all these years. Really love you. $RT give on Cash App. Venmo at RT give. PayPal, revivaltoday.com/PayPal. There's so many good stories. Man, traveling on the road and preaching. Did your dad travel or he pastored the whole time? He didn't travel. Right. But funny stuff still happens, right?
I'm sure nothing close to.
No, but there's just so many.
In a different way, funny things. Not like that, but hilarious.
Yeah, you know Central Assembly of God in Houston, Pennsylvania here? Mm-hmm. My dad, when we lived here, was in their basketball league, and my Uncle Terry came up with him, and they got in a full-out brawl with two guys. And they were like, my dad and my Uncle Terry were banned from the the men's basketball league as two ordained ministers. Hey, you know, we would just ask you not to come back. I remember he came back, my dad and my Uncle Terry, they came in our townhouse at Wheeland Circle. And my Aunt Colleen and my mom were like, how was it, guys? They're like, not good.
Preston was telling me DCC still can't play in any church leagues in Virginia Beach.
Oh, it's so good.
Me and Adalis.
Lots of games.
Me and Adalis went to go.
Yeah, even their softball games. I remember I headed to a softball game. I don't know why I was there driving, and Adalis was like, turn around. He's already been ejected.
They had been ejected.
Oh my God.
No, we went to go.
Crabs or something that day.
Yeah, we were like, all right.
My Uncle Terry, when I lived in Virginia Beach, he was in I don't even know why he did it, but he signed up for the men's soccer league, which he didn't play soccer. But we just watched soccer a lot, like in the afternoons. I think he just bought some gear, wanted to play. So at this point, he's probably like, 6'1", and like a solid 255 of like muscle. And then there's all these like little European and Brazilian guys playing. They're like little like marathon runner.
Yeah, right.
Guys. So he doesn't know that like in soccer, no one ever actually fights. You like, get in people's faces, and if someone even like gets in your face too close, you flop to the ground. So he like bumped into this guy, and the guy took exception to it and runs up and gets in his face, and my uncle grabbed him by the shirt and picked him up and threw him to the ground. And the guy's just like how soccer players flop anyway. Well, now he actually is hurt. So he's like, ah. And the ref just comes over like straight red, like his face. So he goes to the league because I drove over with him, and he's like, let me just go and dispute this, because if I ever need a permit or something, I don't want to have like a bad name in the city or be like written up. So I want to tell him like, this guy started it and the ref was too aggressive with the red card. I hadn't even got a yellow yet, which you don't get a yellow if you body slam someone. You get suspended. So So he talks to the guy, and he's like, tells him his whole side of the story, and the guy's like, I believe you, Reverend. It just was funny, like hearing him called Reverend in this thing. I believe you, Reverend. It's just hard for me to make the case to the supervisor that it was the ref's fault because we've had 1,127 different intramural or different sports games in the city of Virginia Beach, and we've had 3 ejections, and they're all you. Because he got ejected from softball, basketball, and now softball, basketball, and now soccer. And they were like, the church basketball team, one of the reasons they got banned, they had like 5 guys that could play basketball and then another group of bench guys that were there in case for when things got into it. They were just there to like fight. Goons.
It's so good.
I might be exaggerating, but I have memories that there were more times we had to leave games early than the games were finished. Like full on court brawls.
I thought there was one time that we were in that basketball gym that I thought we're all gonna fight.
Oh,
We're all gonna have to get in this.
Yeah. Preston was telling me that his dad was sad when they took masks away because he looked forward to like going into 7-Eleven with no mask and the manager being like, "Sir, you have to put a mask on." Like, come around the counter and try to make me. Just like every place he went, like getting into it. Preston told me, he's like, I would stay in the car. It was like his entertainment. That's why when people are like, man, you're bold. You're really bold, Jonathan. I'm about a 5. I won't say which uncle it was because I don't want to like, I've defamed enough of them. But in Canada, which it makes me laugh that it was even more in Canada, somebody told him to like saw his license plate and was like, go back home, you effing American. And he pulled him out of his pickup truck, gave him a bit of a beating, and then while the guy was on the ground, made him sing God Bless America on the ground. It's like, sing it, or like, I'll kick you again, sing it. And I go, God bless America.
Oh.
Sing it. Whoop. It's been a fun 16 years, man. So try that if you have like an aggressive manager at work or something. Sounds like somebody needs their volume turned down. They need you to report to HR right now. It was funny though how that guy reacted, that he was laughing and put his arm around my uncle.
I know.
Different keys to unlock different people's hearts.